Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Racing Mentor Sponsorship Podcast. As always, I'm here with Toby. How are you doing today?
Yes, I'm awesome as always. Although a little bit sad that race season's kind of coming to an end. It's been a very compressed race season. There's only a few more races left of the season, and it just seems to be over so quickly. And yeah, I'm kind of gutted about that. It's been nice to kind of watch the motorsport because at the start of the year, we didn't get that opportunity to kind of enjoy it, right?
Yeah, and I'm with you there. Like, I feel like it's just passed me by because although, yes, we've had racing, great, it's obviously just been this condensed season. And I haven't even been to a racetrack. I think it might have been over a year now since I was last at a racetrack, and that is depressing.
I know, right? You need your fix when you get into the
I
racetrack,
know.
hearing that noise, that smell of, the cars, and yeah, it's definitely an addictive thing, isn't it? We all need a little bit every now
Yeah.
and again.
I did get to sit outside Snetterton for about an hour. I had a few race cars, but that was the closest I got.
Yeah, I'm kind of sorry about that. I got let down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Next time though.
Yeah, next time, absolutely. But just like, how great is it? How great is it going to feel when I do finally get to a racetrack? It's going to be
Oh,
incredible.
I know, and roll on next year, Jess, because bigger and better things happening, and
Yes.
I'm sure by that point we'll actually have spectators properly at the track at all of
Mm,
the events, and we can all get back to enjoying the sport that we love properly. Because
absolutely.
it isn't just as much as driver, machine, cars going around the track. There's that whole kind of social side to motorsport that you and I both love, and anyone that listens to this, I'm sure, loves as well. And yeah, roll on when we get that back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump in with a fun fact. So Toby's today, you probably all know this about Toby already, but I really like it. It's really relevant to being a racing driver. But Toby drives Britain's fastest train.
Yeah, 140-mile-an-hour train. It's a bit of a beast. It's
Yeah.
not as exciting as what it as what it sounds, but yeah, it's quite impressive. It's a boyhood dream for many that are kind of looking in, right?
I think like anyone on the outside thinks it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a big machine. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
huge responsibility that goes to that.
absolutely.
Racing cars, it's just man and machine, whereas driving train, it's a pretty big responsibility, I guess.
Mm.
Jess's fun fact of the week, though. I'm not sure that Jess will want to admit to this live on our podcast, but it took Jess 5 attempts to pass a driving test.
Yes, it did, and it was a stressful experience. I was a really, really, really anxious driver, obviously when I was learning, but then even like for years after that as well. And I like to be quite open about it because I think there are a lot of people out there who don't have a great deal of driving confidence, and I want to be that person that shows that you can literally go from it took me 5 attempts to pass my driving test and I cried every time I got in a car to I'm an automotive journalist who road trips for a living. So, progress.
Progress,
That's
massive
my
progress.
character arc in the story of my life.
But that's a good story, right? I mean, it just shows that how over time you can gain confidence to do something that at the start was really difficult, and look where you are now, Jess. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And actually one of the most viewed videos on my old 10/8 YouTube channel that I've rebranded as Jess Shanahan YouTube channel is about how to become a more confident driver. So I talk about it in detail there about like just the stress and the anxiety of, doing all those driving tests and having literally had an instructor or like an examiner shout at me for parking on double yellow lines.
Oops.
Yeah, no. I just I'm too away with the fairies to learn things like that. I certainly couldn't now.
But this is the $1 million question for you, Jess. Is do you think you'd pass your driving test now?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm a really, really like just like safe and considerate driver.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
I can
always
back
follow the
that
rules. Yeah, I'm a big rule follower anyway. Like I like to think I'm a punk, but I'm not. Um, I also think like from cycling to my office every day, I get in so many tangles with drivers who just clearly don't know the highway code that I kind of make sure to keep up to date with it, just so I have, I can win some argument points when they do cut me up or, try and kill me.
up. You're one of them, Jess.
I am, yeah, one of those angry cyclists. Right. So today we're going to be talking about product sponsorship versus money sponsorship. But before we kind of get into it, I just kind of want to tell you, Toby, and everyone else who's kind of listening about something that I'm planning to do from November to January to kind of give you guys a bit of extra support in terms of making money to go racing. So I'm going to, off the back of the Side Hustles podcast we did, I'm going to be creating a side hustle series of content. So that's, videos, blog posts. We're going to talk about it more here on the podcast. I'm even working on an ebook. So I really want to kind of empower people to start their own businesses to make money to go racing. And it's actually a really good kind of like complementary thing to sponsorship as well, and seeking sponsorship. And I just think like now is the time, like now that the race season is ending, it could be a great opportunity for anyone who's kind of got an idea or knows that they want to run a business to, develop that idea, grow it, and start making money before the race season starts again next year.
Nice. That sounds super exciting.
I
And
know.
while things are a little bit quieter during the kind of off season, this is a perfect thing to get involved with. I'm super interested in that, Jess. I cannot wait to see that launch.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So watch this space. We'll be talking
Nice.
about it on the sponsorship group and across Racing Mentors social channels as well. So keep an eye out for that.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Yeah. So let's talk about product sponsorship to begin with. So what have your kind of experiences been with product sponsorship in your journey, Toby?
Yeah, pretty limited, but I've got good stories about product sponsorship. For those that you don't know, I took on a sponsor this year, which is Purple Tash, who have become a mixture sponsor with me. But part of the element of the sponsorship is product sponsorship, and it's completely transformed my business, which is amazing. They've done such an incredible job. But essentially, the kind of benefits of it is that's kind of been my way and for them is the fact that I thought my brand was quite good from the start, from last year with Toby Trust Racing, because I can do these kind of things myself with regards to design work, and I can get by with it. But what they've kind of achieved for me is absolutely blown my mind. So they've completely rebranded Toby Trust Racing. All my kind of graphical work and all my kind of images that you see on social media that are coming out, they're kind of in charge of now, and they create these amazing pieces for me that has elevated my brand to a new level, which has been fantastic. But some of the big benefits of that has been the fact that it's allowed me to free up a lot of my time, and because design work on when I was doing it was very time consuming, I'd sit there and kind of like spend so much time just on one piece and then not be able to give my time to the rest of my sponsors. So the fact that they've kind of helped me in terms of delivering all these amazing things that have completely elevated my brand has actually given me more time to build relationships up with my other sponsors and new sponsors. So yeah, like I'm blown away by it, and a huge thank you to Purple Tash because they've just done such an amazing job.
Yeah, and I can really attest to that. Like your brand was really strong before, but they've elevated it so much. And although you obviously have the skills to do, the design work, and you've got the eye for branding and design as well, I think that just freeing up that time is so valuable. And I think that's something that a lot of drivers should consider
Yeah.
is, is there something that could free up their time just to make life a bit easier, and, give them more time to search for sponsorship or work with sponsors, or even, just freeing up their time so they're not working 24 hours a day alongside a full-time job.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a really important part, isn't it? Time management is so critical anyway, because I don't think people realize just how busy you are as a racing driver. Most people just assume that you just do a bit of training, go to the racetrack, have an awesome weekend racing, and spend time with sponsors, go home and repeat once the next race weekend comes up. But a racing driver is far from that these days. There's so much involved, isn't there, behind the scenes, huge amounts of work, and if you can free up any time by kind of doing these kind of relationships with sponsors, that turn into, in my example, a great service product sponsorship. Yeah, it gives you more time to do more for the guys that are helping you out.
Totally. So I also think that there's a lot of benefits to the sponsor as well for offering products. And actually, this is probably why you see a lot of people that when you ask for money, they go, how about some products? Just because it is a lot more affordable from the business to offer you a product or a service, especially, if they're new or they don't have the cash flow, or maybe it's something that they can see that you need. But like obviously anyone offering you a free product or to work with you in partnership in that way is absolutely a win. But do just kind of like bear in mind, like, are they just offering the product because it's way cheaper for them? In which case, are they definitely seeing the value of what you offer? Usually yes, but it's just something to bear in mind.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like the different examples of product sponsorship. So I've worked with kind of like all the obvious ones, like tire sponsors, wheel sponsors, certainly lots of like parts for cars. So like if you're building a race car, parts sponsorship will save you a ton of money. And that's kind of what you want to focus on. Like, will a product sponsor save you money that you can then go and spend on your entry fees or fuel or, transport to a race or doing something for other sponsors? If the answer is no, and that product isn't going to save you money, then you maybe need to have a conversation with yourself about whether it's actually worth your time. But you don't just have to think about parts for your race car or your consumables at a race weekend. You can actually think really outside of the box with this. So like anything that's going to save you time or money in any respect of your life. So whether that's, insurance for your race car or insurance for your road car, if you can then spend what you'd normally spend on road car insurance on going racing, that's a win. So don't just kind of think, oh, I need products for the race car. Any kind of like product or service that you would normally pay for at any point in your life, it can be really worthwhile kind of going down that route and looking at those people as potential sponsors, because again, you can spend that money that you've saved on going racing.
Yeah, and it's quite handy just to kind of write down a need versus want type list. Something that I did right at the start of the 6 weeks to success course with Jess was that I kind of, I was so new to motorsport, I didn't know all the things I'd need. So I spent some time writing down all the things I did need versus things that I wanted. And I think as long as you sort of mark things off that actual need list versus just want or something that's not actually too much of benefit to you and what you do as a racing driver, then it can be really beneficial for you as a product sponsorship. But you just have to be careful that you don't end up with a product sponsorship, like you say, Jess, that's just not worthwhile with regards to helping you out, because then I don't think you'd return that much for your sponsor anyway.
No, and I think there's actually a lot that money can do to help you activate the sponsorship. So if you're
Yeah.
getting money or money and a product, that means that you can put on events for your sponsor. You can do the track days. You can make sure that you've got, assets printed to have at the racetrack. But also if a sponsor is kind of just giving you like the bare minimum, which is a product that they've got a cost, for example, they're probably not invested enough in the partnership to do any activation themselves.
Yeah.
So you can end up in this situation where basically that there's not really any activation happening. So no one's going to get like the return on investment, and then that sponsorship deal will fizzle out. But I guess on the other side of things, there are sponsors that you can work with on a product basis to begin with that can turn into a monetary sponsorship and a great relationship further down the line.
Exactly. I think that's how I look at it, Jess. I think, if you're kind of looking at introducing a product sponsorship to the party, it might be that sponsor's a little bit nervous about, the monetary side, or they might yet not be in a position where they can do monetary sponsorship. But it definitely gives you an opportunity to kind of show a little bit of what you can do, kind of give them a little taste of what's available to them as a sponsor. It also gives you time to build further relationships up with them, so that if they then become in a position to financially sponsor you, you've already told them about all the amazing ways that you can do that. But it also might just give them a little bit more confidence of what they need to actually then go, do you know what, next season, this is going to be the new deal. And it gives you amazing negotiation powers with regards to what you can then do with them, and make it awesome sort of in the future. I think that's the kind of most optimistic way of looking at it. But you do have to be careful that, with regards to product sponsorship, you are limited as a driver with product sponsorships, because when you've got money in the bank, you can do much more for that sponsor, because you can lay on events, you can lay on special things for them, and there's so much more you can do with money. But it's not to say that sponsor necessarily is, with regards to the product sponsorship, they might be in a position to do that later on down the line.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that it's all about judging the relationship. Like if you're
Yeah.
talking to a business that's in its like early stages, or that they're pivoting, or maybe they're, in a period of change, which actually a lot of businesses are at the moment, have that conversation with them of like, okay, product sponsorship now, but I am going to work hard for you that we're going to talk about monetary sponsorship next year, and just kind of set those expectations. And you'll soon be able to get a sense of whether, is that sponsor just fobbing you off with some products, or do they actually see the value, they want to work with you, and they just need to do something now, so further down the line they've already kind of got you on board. And I think just from speaking to sponsors, you'll be able to get a sense of, what the case is here, which again is why it's so important to at the very least have a phone call with them.
Yeah, completely.
I know a lot of people are kind of wary of phone calls, and meetings are hard at the moment, but I think it's really, really important to kind of speak to someone, because you'll be able to get an idea of like how enthusiastic they are about the partnership. And you want someone who is enthusiastic, because that's going to lead to, a stronger relationship down the line.
Yeah, definitely. And you can start like working out, what kind of return they're going to get, because let's say the service or product that they sell, let's say you introduce 100 more clients to that sponsor that they then sell to, and you get an idea of roughly how much that customer's worth each time. You can then understand a little bit about that sponsor, of how much they kind of earn off the back of the work that you've done. So when it comes to next season and actually negotiating a new deal with that sponsor, you're essentially working off the back of what you've given them. And it's kind of like a kind of commission type thing then, because you can work out a balance that works for you both. And once you've then got more money from the sponsor, you can then only make that better the following year, because you've got more cash to activate further benefits to that sponsor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are ways to negotiate with someone who goes, how about we give you a load of product? I think that if you kind of push back just a little bit, saying, yes, product is great, but I still need this much money just to be able to make sure I can do a good job for you, I think it's always worth kind of going down that line and just reiterating the value that you'll bring and the benefits of working with you. Because I think, a lot of companies are trying to spend as little money as possible. So it comes down to you saying, that's great, I totally appreciate your point of view, but here are the benefits, and this is the value I'll provide, and this is the kind of return on investment my other sponsors get, for example. I think that is a really good way to kind of remind someone that you do have value. And this is more than just, I'll promote your products on my social media. This could be big.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just goes to that point, Jess, doesn't it, that money unlocks the potential. I think this is quite a debatable point. I'm very much a pro for that money does unlock the potential. But in terms of your experiences, Jess, how do you sort of compare the two?
So I think product sponsorship is great if it's saving you money, but I feel like a lot of sponsors will just try and fob you off by offering products that are maybe worth almost nothing to them because of the markup. So it's worth kind of looking at, actually how much has that sponsor given you? Because although, let's say, a car part might be worth 500 to you, it might have only, the parts and a bit of time might have only cost the sponsor 100. So just bear that in mind. Is £100 or dollar or whatever currency you're working in sponsorship worth it? The fact that it's helped you save 500, maybe it is, but just bear that in mind. But I would always aim for monetary sponsorship. But that, like you say, like if you write down a list of the things that you definitely need and you will have to spend money on to go racing, if you can get people to give you that stuff, great. But if you can get people to give you that stuff and money, win-win. So I think it's definitely kind of worth really, really thinking about, are these product sponsorships worth it? Or should you spend your energy elsewhere? Because obviously we're only human. We are limited in the time that we have to promote these sponsors. So if you have 20 product sponsors and no money, you're going to be doing loads of sponsorship work and still might not be able to go racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, come into the kind of monetary sponsorship point, a lot of people think that selfishly all drivers care about is money so they can go racing. But as we've discussed in the past on this podcast, is the fact that money just gives you so much opportunity to do even more for your sponsor. And you've always got to look at what's the best for the sponsor and putting your interest in the sponsor's interest so that they get exactly the return that they kind of deserve. And when you look at monetary sponsorship, it just unlocks so much. It goes from, like we all talk about, just a sticker on a car for a sponsor, there's no value there. What you do for a sponsor is where the value's at. So freeing up time is important because then you can give more of your time to your sponsor. But also having money available means that you can then sort out events. You can then, you can publicize stuff. You can create content. You can pay other people to do things that would then be beneficial to a sponsor. And you've got to treat it almost as a business. Without money, you can't operate, right? So,
Mm.
every business needs money to operate and pay their staff and to pay for products and services that they offer. So that's exactly why you need the money, so that you can give that return to a sponsor.
And I also think that for a lot of people, if they're just getting product, so you as the driver, if you're just getting product, you might not work as hard for that sponsor as if they were giving you money. So I also think that money unlocks your potential as a person, because you've gone, yeah, wow, this person's given me 10 grand. They've put 10 grand's worth of trust in me. I'm going to go out and do the best job I can.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think,
kind of,
if you're not getting that, it might be a thing of like, well, hey, I've got the product, off I go, and then not do that work, which means you're never going to convert that person into monetary sponsorship.
yeah, I think just an analogy that most people can relate to is like, I'm sure we've all been in a position where a friend goes, oh, can you just do me a favor? Or can you just do this for me? And you don't mind as a friend doing that for your friend, or family member. But, how long does it actually take you? Because you just think, oh, I've got so much more important things I need to be doing. Doing something for a favor, you're kind of like, you're less, a bit more reluctant to actually get started on it. And then when you do, you're not really that productive. Versus when someone actually pays you to do something, you're kind of like firing all four cylinders and you're ready to like, right, okay, I'm going to do the best job I can because I've got a real incentive at the end of it to get paid. And then when you wow that person with whatever you've achieved for them, you know that there's in the future going to be more of that return for them. So they're going to be more invested in you to do that in the future. So I'm not sure if that analogy works, Jess, but
That's
this
perfect.
in my head, that's just how I could think of it. I've had times in the past through photography when I was a photographer, and doing very small graphical pieces. People go, oh, can you just take me some photos? Can you just do this for me? And I used to do a lot of that at the start for friends and family, and it used to take me ages to get anything to them because I was just like, I wasn't just driven, and I had
Yeah.
more important things I had to get on with that were paid.
Yeah, and actually, I think I can continue your analogy, because if someone asks you to do something for free or like really low cost mates rates, they are
Yeah,
never going to pay you full price next time.
no,
They will always expect that kind of discount. And I actually think that the same goes for, potential sponsors. Even if you kind of go in with like a low figure just because you desperately want them on board, it's
yeah,
going to be very difficult for them to ever pay something higher price in the future.
yeah, and
So it
it
kind of
comes
works
back
both
to that.
ways.
Yeah, it comes back to that point, Jess, doesn't it? About, does the sponsor understand the value that you're offering?
Mm,
Because if there's huge value there for them and you can demonstrate the return and the investment they'll get, of course they'll want to pay for it, right? They'll want that.
exactly.
So you need to kind of believe in what you're offering. I think, and confidence is part of that. And as you grow as a driver, working with sponsors and sponsorship stuff, that confidence for sure will come. But yeah, believe in yourself, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about how you can convert a product sponsor into a monetary one, because this is totally possible. I know lots of people that have done it. I've done it. I think it's worth having that conversation. Actually, I wrote a blog post on this, I think last year, about how to do that, and about kind of just repeating your value and showing like exactly like what extra things that you could offer and how much more you could do by going to a deal that involves money and not just product. Have you had any kind of thoughts on this, Toby, of what you might do to kind of get those product sponsorships, or what people can do to get those product sponsorships into a monetary one?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's part of the relationship building for me. I think on that respect, Jess. I kind of would be in a situation where if the sponsor could only give you a product sponsorship because perhaps their business is not quite in a position to yet, or they just need a little bit more confidence, before they actually then do a monetary sponsorship. Yeah, I'd be looking to go, above and beyond for them anyway. Show them what is possible with kind of a small demonstration of return for the product that they're giving you. And then, almost give them testimonials from the guys that are giving you monetary sponsorship, and kind
Mm,
of like, this is almost what you're missing out on. And, that live testimonial type of thing, I think is quite powerful because, like for me last year, the sponsors that were involved that we've done events for last year, they were blown away by it. And other sponsors that are now involved with me this year are like, I can't wait till we can do that. So once we're able to, some of the sponsors I've got, I know I can convert into monetary sponsorship because they'll have an actual benefit for it. And I've got that relationship built up with them that I'll be able to convert that.
Yeah, I agree. And I definitely think it's all about relationship, because you need to know that you're not going to upset someone or scare them off by saying, hey, can we have a conversation about money? You need it to be kind of a really open relationship where you can just call them and have a chat and say, hey, I'm thinking of this. It would cost you this much, and these are the benefits you'll get. Just like test the water. And I think converting a product sponsor into a monetary sponsor follows very much the same kind of process as just finding a new monetary sponsor, except you've already done all of the hard work to build the relationship.
Yeah,
So
completely.
it's about, here is the value and this is the return you'll get. And here is social proof from other people I've done this for, my existing sponsors. Do you want to talk about it, basically?
Yeah. And at that point, we're a team, right? Like, I saw a tweet the other day chatting about kind of like someone was talking about product sponsorship and what product sponsors they've got and service sponsors they've got. And you're all part of the team. Like, I think that kind of like family network of being part of this family is really important for them. And then when you actually then can give them reason to show them, if they invest more, this is what they could get. They by that point they should be so buzzed for it. They'll be like, oh, I can't wait to get started. And because they know you already and they trust you, it should be quite an easy conversation. It shouldn't be something that you should worry about at all.
Yeah, totally agree. And if you've already done a bit of work for them in promoting them and their products because of what they've given you in previous years, they're going to already know that you can do what you're saying. You should have given them enough value that they can be like, oh, if we actually put some money into this could really change things. So that's why I think, again, it's really worth looking at who are your product sponsors and actually can you do stuff for them, within the time that you have to make a difference that can lead to a great relationship where they understand your value and they will pay in the future.
Absolutely. Always remember, just look at what you can do for that sponsor and make it exciting. And good luck with everyone.
So shall we move on to our driver of the week for this week?
Yeah, I think you should introduce this one this week, Jess. I look forward to announcing this.
Yeah. So this is a driver that I've been following for a long time. I know her quite well. So our driver of the week this week is Sarah Moore. So she's currently racing a Porsche in the Sprint Challenge, but she's also done W Series and all sorts of other great series. And I just think she's one of those drivers who kind of keeps her head down and gets on with stuff and just drives well. She's a talented driver, but she works with sponsors. But I just think she deserves a shout out because she's a great person and also a great driver. And I think we need to shout out and big up great talent that we have here in the UK.
Yeah, she's a huge talent, Jess. I think she's got a really bright future ahead of her. Some of the stuff she done for W Series was amazing to see because at the time she was I want to say she was quite inexperienced in terms of that was a big leap to go into the W Series compared to the rest of the grids that was around her. And she held her own, like she done so well. And obviously now she's in the Porsche Cayman currently and doing fantastic in that. She's literally been jumped in, most of the way through the season. And she's putting in some great results already. And like I say, she's just such a hardworking individual and such a good ambassador for the sport.
Yeah, totally agree. So congratulations, Sarah, who joined our little club of drivers of the week.
And if you want to follow her, she's on Instagram as S More Racing, so SMOORE Racing. Go and give her a follow and have a little look at what she's been up to.
Yeah, and you can always have a look at the podcast notes over on blog.racingmentor.com to get the links to what she's doing. We always include the details of our drivers of the week over on there, as well as anything else that we've kind of talked about during this. I've mentioned links and things. You can find them over on the podcast notes. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. If you have any questions about should you be going for product sponsorship or monetary sponsorship or like how you convert a sponsor from one to the other, drop me an email on jess@racingmentor.com. As always, I'm more than happy to answer your questions, but you can also post in the Racing Mentor sponsorship community on Facebook, where you can get my feedback as well as the feedback from, our close-knit friendly community of racing drivers as well. So if you haven't already joined that, it's a great place to be if you want some sponsorship inspiration and a place to ask questions.
And also, don't forget, guys, those that are on the Facebook community group, please share your success stories. I'm sure there'll be many of you that have converted product sponsorship into monetary sponsorship, and the success you've given to that sponsor. I'd love to hear a bit more about that story if you've got one. But yeah, any kind of wins you've got there would be really great to hear, because you may be nominated for the next Driver of the Week.
Absolutely. And those of you who are previous drivers of the week, you may have already received an email or a message from me just asking you for some more details, because we want to send you something in the post. So just keep an eye out for that, which is perhaps even more of an incentive for people to share their wins in the future, because we've got some really cool stuff planned for our drivers of the week. It's no longer just a shout out on the podcast.
No, it's definitely not. Super exciting, right?
Yeah,
I kind of want some of the stuff.
I know. Can we name you as one of our drivers of the week, or are you like an honorary driver of the week every week because you're here every week?
I don't know. I think it'd be a bit biased, wouldn't it, if I nominate myself to be driver of the week, Jess?
Yeah. Can I be driver of the week because it took me 5 times to pass my driving test?
Yeah. Shall I give you like one of those congratulations stickers?
Yes, please.
Mega. As always, Jess, it's been so much fun on the
Thanks,
podcast with
Toby.
you. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
See you next week, guys. Thanks.